In the murder of aspiring theater actress Jessie Blodgett from Wisconsin, her ex-boyfriend was accused. 19-year-old Daniel Bartelt is charged with first-degree intentional homicide. In this video, we'll tell you what really happened. Jessie Blodgett was passionate about music. She played the piano, wrote songs, and performed in theater. 19-year-old Jessie put all her effort into helping others and making a positive impact on the world. For example, she volunteered her time teaching children from poor or troubled families. Friends and family described Jessie as the most cheerful and sunny person we knew. Jessie was deeply involved in theater, dedicating herself to the arts and others almost completely. She lived her creativity with intense passion. In 2013, to her great joy, her childhood friend Dan Bartelt moved to Wisconsin from another state. He lamented that he hadn't been able to live a full college life, saying it was probably not for me. In his hometown, he decided to start fresh. After all, not everyone has to build a career in big cities. Dan thought he could be useful there. He had the brains, the hands, and he loved to work. Jessie was thrilled to reconnect with her old friend. They had been inseparable since school. That summer, their friendship reignited with new energy. Jessie and Dan played music together and wrote songs. They even played the lead roles in 2 plays, Dan in Bye Bye Birdie and Jessie as the fiddler in Fiddler on the Roof. The premiere of the latter took place on July 14, 2013. The show was a sellout, and the actors were called back for an encore. Although Jessie seemed very happy that evening, she would later write in her diary about her concerns. "These men tried to seduce me. I'm not helpless. I recognize problems and face them without fear." Jessie even told her mother, with whom she had a close relationship, that some guests had tried to sit her on their laps and touch her. The next morning in Jessie's family began like any other. The head of the family went to work. Her mother was busy with household chores. Around noon, she noticed that the house was unusually quiet. Oh, right. Jessie was probably sleeping soundly. The previous evening had been very emotional. After the premiere, her daughter was understandably exhausted. Some time passed, and the mother decided to wake up her sleepyhead. But Jessie didn't respond. The mother even started to get annoyed that her daughter was ignoring her. She entered Jessie's room and touched her shoulder. The girl was cold and not breathing. Panicking, the mother called emergency services. The police and doctors who arrived at the scene could only confirm asphyxiation and death. The first thing the police noticed was the lack of any signs of forced entry. This indicated that Jessie knew her killer, which meant finding the perpetrator wouldn't be difficult. However, we all remember from past cases that very often neither witness testimony nor evidence helps the police, and murderers can remain at large for decades. The mother told detectives that Jessie had complained the day before about men who wanted to be intimate. The police double-checked this information. They read the murdered girl's diary and identified suspects. However, the men who were questioned were calm and cooperative with the investigation. They had alibis, and their phone records showed that they were not involved in the tragedy. Meanwhile, in a nearby town, police were searching for a perpetrator who had attacked a woman in a park. The incident occurred 3 days before Jessie's death. The victim, named Melissa, recounted that she was walking her dog when a young man with a knife ran up to her. The events unfolded rapidly. The man tackled her and attempted to stab her. However, Melissa wasn't easily intimidated. She grabbed the knife's blade and started to fight back. She managed to wrest the knife from him. The man immediately gave up and begged for mercy. Melissa allowed him to leave and then went to the nearest police station. In reality, Melissa was severely injured, but the adrenaline coursing through her gave her strength. She collected herself and calmly relayed the facts to the police. Moreover, Melissa had a clear memory of her attacker. He was a white male, at most 20 years old, about 1.88 meters tall, with light brown hair. He was wearing plaid shorts and a light-colored t-shirt. Melissa also remembered that the man got into a nearby parked vehicle and drove away. It was a dark blue minivan, specifically a Dodge Caravan. Finding this vehicle wasn't difficult. A deputy sheriff recalled seeing such a minivan in the park for several days. Checking the license plate revealed that the vehicle belonged to a married couple. However, neither the man nor the woman matched the composite sketch. But the couple had a 19-year-old son, Daniel Bartelt. The police called him on the phone, and something strange happened during the conversation. "Police, where are you right now?" Dan, "At Jessie Blodgett's memorial service." "Police, we need to talk to you. Please come to the station." Dan, "Okay." After this brief conversation, the detectives began to question it. After all, when most people get such a call, they usually respond with, "What's going on? Why do I need to meet with you? Why do I need to come to the station?" But this guy seemed almost prepared for the call. The detectives did some background checks. They knew that Dan had returned to his hometown after struggling with school and that he didn't have a job. So when Dan began talking during the interrogation about how he was working from morning till night, the police confronted him saying, "No, that won't do. We know everything about you." Realizing he had already tripped up on 2 points, Dan confessed that he was the one who attacked Melissa in the park. He claimed that he had become desperately afraid of life and wanted others to feel the same fear. Not a particularly strong motive. The police collected all the evidence from the crime scene and conducted DNA analyses. Everything pointed to Dan being involved in Jessie's murder. Later, there was an identification lineup, and Melissa, without hesitation, identified Dan as her attacker. In the end, the police immediately arrested him. Daniel tried to claim that he wasn't involved in the murder and that all the evidence was fabricated. But during the interrogation, there was one crucial moment that became a turning point in the case. So, according to Dan, he was at the memorial service for his best friend, claiming she was murdered and violated. However, at that time, the police had not released the results of the forensic examination, which means Dan couldn't have known about the sexual assault. Yet he did. This could only mean one thing: Daniel was the killer. The police obtained a warrant to search his house. On Dan's laptop, they found pornography and snuff films. Daniel was brought in for another interrogation where he unsuccessfully tried to fake crying but couldn't produce a single tear. His final alibi was that he had been at work on the day Jessie was killed. However, the police reminded him that he didn't actually have a job. "Don't try to fool us, kid," the detectives warned. Dan then insisted that his work was writing, claiming he was an unrecognized author who was still learning. "What exactly do you write?" one of the cops asked. Dan immediately began telling a story about a girl who, in a surprising coincidence, was very similar to Jessie and who was also murdered. That ended the second interrogation. But facts are facts. The forensic results showed that Daniel's DNA was found under Jessie's nails. When the police searched Jessie's bedroom, they found tape under her bed which was likely used by the killer. The same type of tape, brand and type, was found in the park where Melissa was attacked and at Daniel's home. The trial was swift. Despite Dan denying all the charges, the jury delivered its verdict: guilty. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The most chilling aspect of this story is that Dan continued to play the role of the innocent. "I am suffering more now than ever before," he declared in court. "My conscience is clear, and honestly, I pity you, Judge." In 2017, the killer attempted to appeal his sentence, arguing that the police had not adequately explained his rights. However, this appeal was unsuccessful. He is currently serving his life sentence. And that concludes our coverage of this tragic story. If you found this video informative or thought-provoking, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more updates on cases like these. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Feel free to share this video with your friends and give it a thumbs up if you found it valuable. Thank you for watching.